quarterback? Are we going cheap? Are we going Lamar? What are we doing at wide receiver? Are we spending up at tight end, or are we going cheap? And they are expecting football knowledge out of this show. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are what we are going to give them. So with that, I'd like to welcome in my host, Peter Overzet, Daniel Gasper, and Davis Mattek. Guys, how's it going today?
Holy cow, Dave, you're dialed in right now. I could tell you looked at the slate for about 14 minutes and you nailed that intro.
Yeah. Listen, after reading, I took a hard look after last week's show. Lots of people saying they enjoy the show without Davis on it. And, I just figuring out kind of what the special sauce is to the Swolecast. And I'm here to basically say I'm sorry to everybody that I've disappointed so far this season, and I'm going to do better. And also, Tuttle, you did a great job last week.
You know what? I appreciate that, Dave. I was really looking for the breakdown of your Disney trip, though.
I thought for sure that was how the show was going to be. Just Dave.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's a football show. It's a football show. Like old Swolecast, we might have said, "Oh yeah, Kitchen missed out on the Dehember, massive game, and the Trimble touchdown while he was in line at Disney." New show, we're just gonna go straight into the content.
But I do have to ask for both Davis and Kitchen, did you guys watch last week's show or did you just read the comments?
Yeah, I watched. Well, I was watching it live from Vegas and then on the way to the airport. So I was watching it, and I honestly, I was impressed. And I thought, who has, Tuttle went from just the Grinch to like Mr. Positivity. No one was making fun of each other. I feel like Sammy had a couple of bad takes, and instead of just drilling him for it, you guys were like, "Oh yeah," and then you should have moved on to the next one. It was a positive show, it was an uplifting show, and I think the comments they spoke for themselves.
Yeah, the commenters. I mean, that was one of the more fun comment section reads I've had in a long time. They really brought it last week in the comment section.
Yeah. Davis, are you good now? Are you okay? I know you had a scratchy voice last week.
No, I'm still sick, to be honest. No, I didn't watch or read the comments, but it sounds like they had fun. Was it, what, did people really like it?
They loved it.
I'm Sammy's very good, and Tuttle's good at talking about football. So whenever we can avoid talking about the Titans for 17 minutes of an hour show, it's probably pretty good.
I feel like I've avoided Titans. Tuttle went to the Titans well last week. He even had a Titans terrible take with
did not work out.
Or did not work out. You touted Kadarius Toney though a couple weeks ago, right, Tuttle, as your terrible take?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so you were
just a week late.
I feel like the Trimble and the Toney takes, we were right there on the cusp, and just didn't get it. But yeah,
that Trimble slate breaker.
The tight end, we'll get to it, but Leone was basically just complaining yesterday. Woe is me, I keep on paying up for tight ends, and they don't go off until the showdown slate. Oh. So we'll talk about tight ends. We'll talk about strategy, some of the injuries. And Peter, I want to get to you as far as the Overzet overview.
Yeah, Overzet overview of the week. Things are really tightening up, Dave. We do have bye weeks hitting. We have less games. I believe we only have 3 4 p.m. games this week. So things are starting to get tough here. We're going to see a lot of interest in this Baltimore Los Angeles Chargers game. We're going to see a lot of interest in this Rams Giants game. And per usual, not a ton of wide receiver value this week. I'm excited to hear Davis Mattek's takes on Mecole Hardman. Could we be heading toward a Mecole Hardman chalk week here at 4,200 with a banged up Tyreek Hill? And also some interesting situations at running back, Dave, with the Chiefs as well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, of course, is on injured reserve. Right. He will be out for 3 weeks. And that's just a bit about what I'm seeing. If you want more, I can keep going.
No, I think it's good, but the people really want Tuttle's takes after last week. So I think with every position, we are just going to start first with Tuttle because we're going to give the people what they want. So Tuttle, what are you seeing as far as the team stacks and just how everything is shaping up there?
Well, I was hoping that you guys could talk about Mooncats now or something like that, but
No,
it's gonna be
no
football.
Mooncats, no soccer lineups.
We could do one NFT. Davis, you want to tell him about your Gronk
Is this
NFT?
the Lazy Lions?
No. So yesterday, I'm in the queue for the Gronk NFT, the first one, the base one, and I'm posting a podcast, and I'm getting my dog ready to go to the vet to go get her chemo thing, and I bonk the first Gronk NFT. I'm like walking out of the door because I got to drive like 45 minutes, so I just listed up right away. I'm like, okay, I paid what is it, $12, so I listed it for 39. I immediately get the email that it's sold. I'm like, well, it's probably a bad sign. I open it up. I listed the jersey number, the Gronk number 87 for $39.
Davis.
So probably like I'd guess like a $900 mistake, maybe more. I don't know how much the jersey numbers. On Top Shot, it would be a big deal, but well, I mean, I've lost that was $1,000 mistake. I've lost like way more than that on NFTs in the last week. So to be honest, it's a little
like when you played the wrong is it the wrong Hernandez or who was it you played the wrong last name?
There's two Jay Suarez's. I played the wrong one. I mean,
pitching. The pitcher.
To be honest, I have lost money in dumber ways.
Yeah. I mean, it's all part of the process. So Davis, you learned from it, you moved on. I'm glad that's the only NFT talk that we're going to be talking about, because this is all week 6 DFS from here on out. So Tuttle.
Yeah. Well, first thing I want to talk about real quick, and I thought you were kind of alluding to it when you were giving the Leone story about tight ends. The first thing that stuck out to me on DraftKings pricing wise is they lowered the salaries of the top tier tight ends. So we got Travis Kelce down at $7K, Darren Waller's at $6,600. That's like $1,000 to $1,500 cheaper than what we've typically seen. So I think that makes things in a more interesting dynamic on DraftKings this weekend, because Kelce's a de facto 7K receiver. I have no problem flexing him out on the slate, especially because we get Davis Mattek's favorite player to ever play the position of tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones.
Literally my A1 day one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting on the slate. In terms of like the stacks, that's the top one of the slate, right? Is Ricky Seals-Jones, Travis Kelce, that Washington, Kansas City game pretty easily. I think the top overall stack. I think anything under that is going to be a little bit lower owned on the slate, just because I think Mahomes is such a smash play. Mecole Hardman has already been mentioned. Kelce's price has been mentioned. So anything other than that, like that Arizona Cleveland game has a fairly high total. Dallas, New England has a fairly high total. Those games will all go a little bit lower owned.
Yeah. I've seen a few, like it's a kind of a gross game, but it's that Detroit Cincinnati game as far as some of the players being like popping in the optimals and the projections that we have there on Roto Grinders. Is that too gross of a game stack, Peter?
Probably for a game stack, but I see what you're seeing there too. I think with the minis, like the DeAndre Swift with a Tyler Boyd or T Higgins, I think that's going to be fairly popular this week. TJ Hawkinson also 5K. We talked about the tight end there. Any other game stacks that you're liking this week, Davis?
I mean, I think pretty clearly the best one is the Chargers Baltimore game, because it's the answer to, can the Chargers just keep playing these weird games where they force other teams to go for it on 4th down, and go for 2. And the Ravens are like a version of the Browns, but with talented players on their roster, like, Lamar instead of Baker, Marquise Brown instead of Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think probably my biggest hot take of the week is that the Ravens are passing so often now because all their running backs are so bad that for the first time in his career, Lamar Jackson is double stackable, that you can actually get away with going Lamar, Hollywood, Mark Andrews. And if I understood the report correctly on Rashad Bateman, they didn't activate him last week so that he wouldn't have to be on a pitch count this week. Now, maybe that's not true. And maybe, we'll get the Schefter report, assuming that John Harbaugh tells him that it's okay to report that that Rashad Bateman is not on a pitch count,
No Shefty shade on this show. No, he has watched the Swolecast before. Like at one point, I think before Peter, when Evan was on, he was a pretty devout Swolecast fan, because I made a joke about he and Rap Sheet and really just lumped him into the Rap Sheet quote, but I got a message that he might not have appreciated that. So Davis, please, no Shefty slander.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and guess he's not a viewer anymore. It's just a guess. You never know. So that Chargers Ravens game, and then Arizona Cleveland too. I guess the other one would be my vomit stack would be Rams Giants, because I think people get a little bit of sticker shock with Kadarius Toney up at 5,600. Daniel Jones was at practice today, even though Joe Judge didn't know that he was. And Evan Ingram, we all hate him, but what can you do?
The vomit stack, throw $10 on there, see what happens. You know what also you can throw $10 on? BetMGM. That's right. Use promo code GRINDERSBET on BetMGM. You can immediately have $10 be turned in to $200. Again, that's promo code GRINDERSBET on BetMGM. All right, let's segue into the quarterback position. Tuttle, what are you seeing at quarterback this week?
You're having a great show, Dave. I just need to keep saying that.
Yeah, that's great. That's
I
great
was gonna
great
say,
plug.
Dave must have been so shook from that show last week. If
had to reevaluate.
If he ran projections, if he ran optimals before this show started, like, I know Dave is shook. Like Cam must have taken him aside and been like, dude, you got to take it seriously.
All the comments, people just want the football takes. No giggles this week.
Oh, they want football takes on a football show?
I would have never guessed.
As we're giggling, Tuttle.
Yeah, quarterback though. Well, we can start out where Davis mentioned with the Baltimore Chargers game. I actually do think that's one of the more, basically any game that involves the Chargers, I think is one of the more intriguing games to watch on a weekly basis. Last week they played a team that can't throw the ball, very good at running. Now they're going to play a team that can throw the ball and has like their running back group has like an age medium of like 45 years old. Latavius Murray, Devontae Freeman, Tyson Williams finally got back in the mix. But it'll be interesting to see because the Chargers are actually very good at defending the pass, even though they let David Njoku go crazy on him last week. But still, I like Lamar Jackson is the first guy that I saw optimizer spit out this week. Shout out to the blitz. He's the guy that is just getting jammed in there. And I'm okay with it. I know Patrick Mahomes is more expensive than Lamar Jackson. I know Lamar's typically had a higher rushing floor, but man, just give me all the Patrick Mahomes this week, just nonstop, just every single lineup. Patrick Mahomes. This Washington defense just cannot defend the pass at all. Clyde, they're not going to rely on Darrell Williams against this football team defense that's actually good at stopping the run. He's going to drop back to pass 50 plus times. It's going to be great for Mahomes.
Davis, as a KC truther, your thoughts?
I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, wow.
No, I mean, I said I thought this last week. I thought it was like Kansas City has no more time to mess around. Like they're already going to be a wild card team at best. They're going to have to win, 3 games to get into the Super Bowl this year. And I would imagine that with CEH injured, like what's their run to pass ratio going to be? 70-30? Like I think we should see a lot of I guess that they will do it as a substitute for rushing. I think we're going to see a ton of like jet sweep style stuff. I think they'll run some stuff out of the pistol, using Hardman and Tyreek laterally. But yeah, I mean, Mahomes should be the highest owned quarterback this week. Unfortunately, the Adam Levitan Jedi bell curve meme, I think, is not going to be true this week. I think this will probably be the most owned that we see the combination of Mahomes, Tyreek, and Kelsey and Hardman as well be owned. By my caveat to that would be do we have any like standout like value plays this week? Like how are we making it work? Like we would probably need Dalvin Cook to not play, and we probably are going to need, some $3,500 wide receivers to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Hardman is going to end up being incredibly popular.
Yeah.
I know Tyreek's going to play, but just coming off the knee thing and then Hardman leading him in targets last week, he's going to be, I think the Mahomes, Kelsey, Hardman is probably going to be the chalk double. But as far as cheap guys, I mean, you mentioned Rashad Bateman, Watkins coming off the hamstring injury here too. He's projecting as a good value if he plays. So if you remove Watkins or something, and then you got Bateman at 3,000, that could be pretty fun.
Yeah, I wanted to actually talk about this because Eric Beimfor had one of his famous tweet threads earlier today where he talked about a flaw in his game, and that is like how there's no real spend up options now because the value is gone this season. So he says now this is like the third tweet, but now there are really no punt options and even very few spend up options as we get into bye weeks, creating this super tight grouping of basically all the relevant plays at every position outside of like Travis Kelce. So he talks about like how to differentiate that and find that lineup construction that might be different than in the past. Tuttle, what are your thoughts on that?
Good job, Eric. Good job with that thread. Good job.
Socrdave reading Eric Beimfor threads is that
no, I just read one of the 5 tweets and then I asked Tuttle, and I feel like
I did not read the tweet. I'm guessing, I could be completely wrong. I'm guessing I'm missing some context from just getting one of the 5.
So what Eric
tweets
was saying is that the game this year has actually transitioned from picking the right punts to go with the various obvious stud plays of, Christian McCaffrey or the David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell years. And now it's more about being able to differentiate between Jamar Chase and DJ Moore as like mid-tier plays or whatever, that it's a different game on DraftKings now. Of course, on FanDuel, it's play whoever you want.
Yeah, he ended with the days of Braxton Berrios and Malcolm Brown chalk to fit 10K players are pretty much gone. Sad ! So
there definitely has been less value. I mean, that's 100% true. In terms of like, obviously we're super early in the week, so figuring out where the mid-tier exposure is going to come this early is a little difficult to figure out. But like, I guess maybe like Robert Woods would be popping as a potential popular play in that 6K range. So to go off of Eric's theory, it'd be
T probably.
T Higgins.
Yeah.
I also like 5K or whatever.
I feel like the pricing too, just their algorithm is better this year. I mean, don't you feel like last year, if Kadarius Toney was coming off this week, he would have been priced up to like 4,600.
I was going to say 4,200.
And they pop him all the way to 5,600. I mean, that's an aggressive change. It's probably warranted, but I just don't remember them being that aggressive previously.
Part of their algorithm is ownership based, and Kadarius Toney was chalk, not chalk, but like owned. The combination of owned plus smash does a lot in their algorithm, I think. But
he was actually lower owned than I thought he was going to be. Toney,
because of Madison. Like had we not gotten the Madison news,
that's true.
He would have been I don't know, 35% or whatever in cash games probably.
Yeah, because I was like actively on tournament teams like, oh no, I can't eat chalk Toney here.
Yep.
And then he shows up at like 10-13% ownership. I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, the Josh Reynolds play did not quite get there.
No.
All right, you have to
Marcus Johnson, baby.
You have to pick a cheap quarterback this week. Who is it?
Mac Jones.
Tuttle.
Does Heineke count?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Heineke.
Oh, well, Heineke is the best. Yeah, that's true.
Tuttle.
Carson Wentz, Big T.
I was waiting for someone to say Wentz. 5th highest team total on this slate.
I don't know. I still don't like.
I don't buy it at all, dude.
It's just gonna be like Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack rushing for 300 combined yards, basically.
Do you think they'll use Marlon Mack?
They have been. They're trying to showcase him, man.
Well, I feel like they've already showcased them, and like now it's time to trade them or don't.
Would you say they need to shit or get off the pot, Dave?
Yeah.
Who's
Kansas
trading?
City
Who's trading
needs-
for a running back? Like, what does Marlon Mack do for the Chiefs? He makes them worse because the Chiefs should pass on every down. The Chiefs running is not even smart. So it just
Kyle
doesn't matter.
Shanahan would love to trade a future third for Marlon Mack.
Yes.
All right. Let's open up DraftKings and create one of our infamous DraftKings lineups. If you need help with your DraftKings lineup, speaking of, make sure that you are tuning in Sunday mornings on Roto Grinders as we do the crunch time shows, getting you ready for the slate and the RG Premium projections and optimizer there, rotogrinders.com/lineuphq. All right, let's get to the DraftKings lineup. Tuttle, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I'm going to go. So I had like a list of terrible takes written out as potential. I feel called to this guy now because Peter mentioned his exact price tag when he was doing the Kadarius Toney riff. DraftKings has generally done a good job of pricing up for role changes so far this season. One role change that I think is going to go a little bit overlooked is our guy Rondale Moore actually ran more routes than Christian Kirk for the first time last week.
Led the team in rushing.
Yeah, led the team in rushing. He got 3 carries last week. He's 4,600. I'm going to plug him into this lineup, and he is my terrible take of the week.
Per the official gadget floor calculator, he also has had a minimum of 1 gadget play inside the red zone every game this season. True story.
That means something. That's why I like Tommy Tremble. They use him also with gadget plays.
Those rushing, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Peter, I'll let you go next.
Yeah, I'm incapable of not correlating, and I love this mini. And I don't think we're going to game stack Arizona Cleveland. Let's do Kareem Hunt, who continues to see a ton of work. I think he'll go overlooked at 6,200 with Swift, getting a lot of ownership at 6,300. And if Rondale Moore is cooking, maybe Hunt comes along for the ride.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in general, yeah, the comment, I'm not saying for this lineup, but the comment I wanted to make here is like, bring it back with Odell. Everybody's quit on this guy, right?
Everyone's quit on Odell. Odell is the play that Robert Woods would have been had Robert Woods been on the main slate last week.
I'm okay to pivot my Hunt to Odell here.
We can keep
fine with
Hunt.
Hunt.
Yeah, we can keep Hunt. I'm gonna go Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown.
All right. And I'm going to do what Davis is talking about, the double stack, and go with Mark Andrews. He finally got it last week. Finally got it, and I don't think it's going to stop.
This team is too good to be our Swolecast cash game team, so someone's got to make a bad pick. Tuttle, you got to make a bad pick here.
I mean, I know the bad pick to make, but I don't think I can do it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a bad pick. The bad pick would be to bring Jalen Guyton back as part of the double stack. I'm not doing it.
I'd play Parham. I'd play Parham and flex over Guyton for real.
No, I'm not doing it. But that's the play to really muddy this team up a little bit. I'm just going to go. We talked about him. Well, no, I'll bring it back with Chalky Keenan Allen. Well, he probably won't be chalky, but
I don't think he will be chalk. People are getting off of him.
I think he will be. He projects pretty well at 6,400.
This is Mike Williams' team now.
It's tough not being the alpha.
Mike Williams costs more than Cooper Kupp, which is wild.
Keenan's ownership is going to be one of those that Blender does the Sunday afternoon, showing that Keenan is like way more owned in higher stakes contests and way lower owned in like the $12 single entry and stuff like that. Like Keenan will be like 12% in that, but be like 34% in the double spy or whatever.
Is it back to me?
It is.
All right, let's do Darrell Henderson at running back.
Such a good play. Yeah. Cheap defense is not great this week, but you can play it doesn't really matter. You can play whoever. And then a flex. I like average Amari at 6,000, and you can play them with the Schmleveland Schmounds, I think. Not that it matters.
You could also play the Schmishmoit Lions, and then you have 6,200 if you wanted to get
Sutton
in there.
David loves Cortland Sutton.
I do like him.
Hey, is Dalton Schultz going to stop being the alpha and allow Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb to ever get more than like 5 targets?
No, he's the tight end 4 in fantasy, and he is 3rd on the team in it's absurd. I was talking about this with Colin this morning. I mean, the Cowboys are just like the 8th best team in the NFL now or whatever, and they just run the ball and they have a good defense. It's boring. Like we need Trevon Diggs to get injured and stuff. Like we need them to start hucking the ball.
Okay.
I do just want to.
That's a pretty good lineup. Yeah.
I am tossing this in a few contests. It's actually a great week for free rolls. I am tossing this in the draft time matchups presented by Miller Lite free roll, the 5-hour energy football challenge free roll, the 5K Wrangler long live sports series free roll is back. And of course the tried and true Modelo 5K NFL beat the bus. So please don't dupe me in any of those.
Very nice. Let's move on to running back. But before we move on to running back, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. Leave a comment in the comment section, just letting us know how you're feeling about this week. It helps us out. It helps us grow the channel, grow the brand as we continue on. Running back now, Tuttle. Who do you like this week behind the tackles?
I can't take it.
That's too
Like,
much.
Come on, man.
That was
you were
like
having a good show and you pushed it too
that
far.
was like Evan Silva talking about how Peyton Barber looks good level.
It was like I was up in the air and I didn't know what I was going to do with the ball yet. And I didn't know if I should shoot it or pass it. And it just ended up being bad.
High school Dave would have shot that.
Tuttle, what are you seeing on the gridiron here? From the halfback perspective.
The Giggle Gang is back. All right, Tuttle, what do you like at running back?
Well, my excellent co-hosts already mentioned Darrell Henderson. It's the week of the Darrells and Darrells, right? Darrell Henderson, Darrell Williams, probably 2 of the higher owned running backs this week. Completely okay with it. DeAndre Swift is another guy in that kind of mid-tier range. Waiting on C-Max status. If he's active, obviously the top overall RB at the position. Jonathan Taylor's interesting to me. And his ownership, I'm excited to see what Jamino runs out here for his first projected owner. Yeah, but he's gonna be owned. I think he's gonna be pretty heavily owned. It's just such a nut spot for the Colts rushing attack. So I think he'll be heavily owned. And then Antonio Gibson too. It'll be interesting to see how people treat the Washington football fullbacks or running backs, I should say. They get Gibson there, but I think people will also do the McKissick thing and hope that they're playing from behind. And I think that's completely fine.
With Heineke or as like a Mahomes bring back.
Well, like we already mentioned, RSJ so cheap. So like it's so easy just to go McKissick and RSJ with Heineke and use like Tyreek is the high price spend or something from Kansas City.
Davis?
Well, I mean, I do think that Jonathan Taylor is, even with what I expect to be pretty gnarly ownership. I do think he is the best running back play of the week. We have him projected as the 5th highest scoring player. We have Darrell Henderson projected as the 6th. I also, there is this like boomerang effect that happens with guys like Alexander Mattison. So he got the price bump, but not near enough. Because don't you guys think against the Carolina Panthers, if Dalvin is ruled out on Friday or whatever, like shouldn't Madison just be as chalky and as good of a play as he was the last 2 times he started? I mean, he's been phenomenal. They've been using him in the passing game. They've been using him at the goal line. Like I think that in my personal play, I would go back to 100% of him. And I think I would even play him over guys we have projected a little bit better, like DeAndre Swift and Aaron Jones. I mean, to me, Madison, when Cook is out, is like, I don't know, the 3rd best running back in fantasy or something.
Yeah. Peter, any, like if you're spending up on running back, who is it this week?
I mean, if you're spending up, if McCaffrey plays, it's him. I mean, there's not a lot of guys to pay up for, I guess. I mean, Eckler, I think just getting in that game environment, I think will be nice. And he's priced up enough where you look at the kind of points per dollar of all those other guys, and he projects as kind of like the worst points per dollar play at 7,900. So he might go just a smidge overlooked, just like he did last week as well. And
I
if
think
that
you're
game,
right, Pete.
yeah. The only other guy, like if we're trying to get anything cheap, I mean, we've already mentioned Darrell Williams. Both the Broncos guys, I think, project fairly decently at their price points. They're in just like a true 50-50, but they're both getting some good red zone usage and looks there. Javonte Williams actually had more high value touches to Gordon's 2. So I think that's probably more of like a large field play than, your single entry 3 max, but Javonte Williams at 5,000 doesn't look too bad to me.
We need an official GAM ruling on Javonte Williams, Pete.
Yeah, man. What was the play? Did he just like shred 4 tackles or something? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
More of that. He got like a screen pass and like threw 2 guys off and then drug like 3 more guys past the first down line. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's fun. We just need Melvin Gordon out of there so we can get bell cow Javonte Williams.
Speaking of Broncos running backs or former Broncos running backs,
nice
one situation in New York where Devontae Booker is filling in for Saquon Barkley. Listen, he had 8 high-value touches last week. On FanDuel, he is, I feel like, definitely in play if you wanted to try to spend out the rest of the money, because it's hard to do. But Tuttle, what's your thoughts on Devontae this week?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of open up some discussion on him, so I'm very grateful and glad you did that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good point per dollar option. He'll always hold a place near and dear to my heart because I don't know if you guys remember last season when everybody was like still hating on David Montgomery. This was like maybe one game after the David Montgomery. Yeah, it was like one game after the David Montgomery.
This was me.
Breakout.
This was me.
Well, you weren't the only one. Like DFS Twitter, it was, David Montgomery's too slow, blah. And it was obvious he had just run into some massive role. And so he was like, just midst of his breakout, and Devontae Booker opened up. Whoever the running back, Melvin Gordon got hurt or whatever, or had his drunken DUI thing last year, and Booker was in play, and people were like, "Oh, Booker's a better play than David Montgomery," and hey, he was not. But completely different situation.
I think he got like 6 points, and I think Montgomery had like 27 or something. It was really bad, and I either bet you or I bet TJ that week and just got absolutely punished.
Yeah, but all that to say, that's not the case this week. He's a legitimately good play. I think your biggest issue here would just be wondering if the Giants can get anything going on offense. I think Daniel Jones is expected to play, but especially if he's not, then that would be the huge issue for me, is that their offense might just not do enough, that even if he's the main guy, he's not going to pan out.
Yeah. Davis, your thoughts?
So I guess the thing for me would be, I think it's going to be very unlikely that the Giants are able to play a competitive game here. And the fact that Ingram is now healthy, they weren't really throwing it to Saquon anyway. and they have Kadarius Toney in the slot as well. And they might even be doing like some weird bunch formation stuff because Kenny Golladay is out, but Sterling Shepard is back in. Like, I just feel like you got to have a pretty low target expectation for Booker. And if he does end up getting there, it's going to be like 6 dump offs and like a 2-yard touchdown. So like in terms of cheap running backs, I definitely prefer Jamal Williams, or not Jamal Williams, Darrell Williams. I was just looking at the wrong thing. I mean, probably my biggest hot take is that the removal of one or the other of them means that Darrell is actually going to have a better role for fantasy than CH had. And also the other take would be CH isn't really that good. So I don't think it matters that Darrell is just a guy, and that actually Darrell, if you know, theoretically you're doing like a Chargers Ravens stack or a Cardinals Browns, Darrell is going to give you big leverage on a Mahomes explosion, because if Darrell has like 22, Mahomes probably only has like, you know, 3 touchdowns or whatever.
All right, let's move on to wide receiver, where I think we go ahead, Tuttle.
Yeah, I just wanted to get one more thing about Darrell there, because I do think we'll see what his ownership comes out, but he's going to be very highly owned. So Davis kind of mentioned role changes with CEH out of there.
Yeah,
like they could just run McKinnon back there and literally just go back to throw 80% of the time this game. Like I think that's really within the range of outcomes. So if you see Williams, like what Davis said about Williams being strong leverage off Mahomes, agree with. But the other side of this is if you see Williams ownership going to creep into the 20 to 30% range, which it probably will, like just do not play that guy in tournaments.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Boots on the ground, Peter, the Patriots running back situation. What are you hearing there?
You know, I haven't heard a lot. I've had my kind of ear just right up against the ground trying to, have some of the sound vibrations come through, and there's not a lot of chatter right now, Dave.
Have you asked your mother-in-law if she's heard anything?
Yeah, she thinks she's fed up with Damian Harris, and she keeps telling me it's Ramondre Stevenson, and I'm like, what?
I thought it was Bolden season.
Yeah.
Well, in this game, it might be.
I wish I get it. Bolden is just like, his role is just so locked in, but it's just like the least exciting role of all time.
He's almost 32, dude.
Yeah.
The coach's quote that got me laughing the hardest this week was Ramondre Stevenson got into the game and he was too tentative. It's like, no shit. You bench the guy after one fumble and like leave him off the active list for 3 straight games. Of course he's going to be a little.
All right. I got a trivia question for you guys. Who do you think was drafted to the New England Patriots first? Brandon Bolden or Shane Vereen?
Same year. Yeah. Weren't they like both 3rd round picks too?
So Shane Vereen was, you are thinking of a different 3rd round running back.
James White, Shane Vereen. Were they the same year?
I'm going to go.
Lawrence Maroney.
I will go find out that other running back. Stephen Ridley is the guy you were thinking of. Brandon Bolden actually the year after. So like Shane Vereen been out of the NFL for 5 years. Brandon Bolden still hanging around.
So you kind of did a lot in Thinks where you wanted us to say.
Yeah, he got me on that.
Yeah, very nice.
How about just remembering Stevan Ridley existed? What a blast that was. Good memory by Pete there,
the Pats have drafted that same running back like 100 times.
100.
The Ridley, the David Harris,
Ramondre
Stevenson. Love that guy.
Yeah. Ramondre Stevenson is really just fancy Jonas Gray if you think about it.
All right, let's talk about a 5th round pick as we move on to wide receivers. And I just want to have a moment of silence for Quintus Cephas, who is out
better than Jonathan Taylor, I've heard.
on IR. So no longer with us.
Shucks, we can't really figure out then, I guess, who is better.
It's just hard to say.
Yeah.
This Lions wide receiver core, though, I feel like they'll be okay without him. So long, Quintus. We'll see you next year. We'll talk to you next year. Let's talk about some of these high price wide receivers that you might want to pay for. You got to pay up for one, Peter. Who is it?
I mean, does Cup count as a high price at 7,900? Are you talking about Adams, Hill, and Mike?
No, he counts, bro.
I think Cup. I don't understand why Cup isn't, I don't know, the second most expensive wide receiver, like after Devontae Adams. So yeah, give me Cup there and getting that price discount on Hill and Williams.
Davis?
I mean, my hot take for the week is that people are gonna bounce back off of DJ Moore after he disappoints them one time, but it would be Tyreek for me. It's got to be given what Tuttle just said about like we really might see like Mahomes might just throw 55 times here in a game where they win by 20. Like it might just be scorched earth season for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Davis, you were talking about how he was hurt, or maybe it was Nate was talking about he was hobbling, and you co-signed on Nate's take. But he has had like a knee injury pop up, and now a quad. Like, do we have a definitive take on what's wrong with Tyreek?
Well, he's listed with a knee injury, so that would be the definitive take. I mean, my guess would be what Tyreek weighs 205 pounds, and they're trying to give him the ball 12 times a game. So it's like just he might not even be 205. I mean, just probably that guy getting hit a bunch of times, especially with the way he moves, because he's always moving laterally and planting so hard.
Like, Davis, I don't mean to correct you, but he was listed with a knee injury, but now he's listed with a quad contusion, no longer a knee injury. So yeah, it's probably not great. Might want to check the news before.
What did he do in week 4 after Nate mentioned he had?
Yeah, I think he had
knee injury.
If I remember correctly, I think he had 97 DraftKings points.
He had 50. 11 catches and 3 touchdowns.
Tuttle, what do you think about the idea that Tyreek just any given week, without even knowing matchup or anything else, you just take Tyreek over Devontae because he is more likely to be the highest scoring player of the slate? Do you think that's true?
No, not more likely.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I am just asking. I am a Tyreek homer.
If you wanted to like factor in ownership and say he's a better play every week because of that and take that into consideration, you probably have a better argument.
Peter, what are your thoughts just on overall the wide receiver position? Because it really seems like this week is the week where wide receivers are going to unlock the key to winning your contest.
More so than any other week, wide receiver is the skeleton key.
I think this is the week. You got a lot of different options. Price, the price constraints are all pretty concentrated. Got a lot of the other guys that you would want to play on the different slates. So your thoughts on wide receiver this week?
Yeah, I do think it'll be pretty spread out if up in that mid to upper range, just because there's no one that's just jumping out as a screaming value. I do think Keenan Allen is going to catch a decent amount of ownership. I think Higgins is going to become kind of the steamed guy this week at 5,300, came back after injury and immediately had a pretty nice role right there. He wasn't on any kind of limitation. So I think he's going to be popular. I could see Pittman being very popular as well at 5,500 coming off of that decent game on Monday night. I think he's going to project well there. I think the other thing too, is we mentioned Keenan, but also like CeeDee Lamb and DeAndre Hopkins, who might come in a little overlooked, I think, just because there are some better projecting plays there. So might be some spots to buy low on some guys we know are talented.
Yeah. Let me interject here and give the Socrdave Great Play of the Week, presented by BetMGM, where $10 can win you, or immediately gives you $200. So the Socrdave Great Play of the Week is Terry McLaurin, F1.
Yeah, but he's like gonna be 27% owned in single entry.
You think he's gonna be chalk?
Yeah, the huge chalk. People are.
There are so many options, like what we just talked about. Like Peter just ran through
what's the
11
narrative,
different options, and F1 wasn't there.
What's the biggest narrative in the NFL right now? The Chiefs defense is going to ruin their season. We just saw the Bills put up 38 national TV game. McLaurin is going to be dumb chalk.
Well,
and do you agree with that?
I mean, the only thing would be who's going to be the popular bringback, and it's going to be both McLaurin and Ricky Seals-Jones, right? Probably used equally as bringbacks there.
Yeah.
Depends on if Diami Brown plays this week.
No one is going to play him or Cam Sims or anything.
Adam Humphries week, baby.
Oh, or Gibson week. So you've got, you agree, Tuttle, as far as dumb chalk, as Davis says, Terry McLaurin?
I can see like 20% range, maybe. I don't think it's going to be out of control. But the other thing that you have to take into consideration is what these guys were alluding to. He's going to be used as part of stacks too, right? Like, so if you're using McLaurin, almost maybe use him not as part of a game stack or as maybe a secondary stack with one other Kansas City guy as opposed to a full out game stack.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Like sub him in to like a Chargers stack or whatever. Like Terry McLaurin and Donald Parham with Hollywood Brown bring back or whatever. That's like a weird little way to do it.
Davis, how's your voice so far? Is it all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just a little runny, little froggy. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I do. Okay. Peter, or not Peter, Dan, who are some other wide receivers that you like this week?
I mean, we talked about most of them. The guy that I think is going to be the highest owned in the 5K range is somebody Pete mentioned, Pittman. I think he's the guy that could hit kind of dumb chalk status on DraftKings.
Yeah.
Which again, if he does, completely fine fading, could totally be a Jonathan Taylor runs the ball 30 times type of game. But based on recent performance and the price tag, how it fits everything and matchup, I think he'll be super high owned. I'd like Davis's take a lot on DJ Moore because I do not think he'll be heavily owned. We've seen, the upside there. We've seen how many targets he can get. The reality is Robbie Anderson is just trash. Anytime Darnold targets him, it's just completely inefficient, which means he'll probably go off this week now. But Moore is probably in line for 10 to 15 targets and could completely smash in the spot for sure. Moore, bring it back with Adam Thielen, who's down to 5,800 type of thing.
Yeah, can we finally put to rest Robbie Anderson?
Some of us. I
feel like if we're saying it, it's going to happen this week.
Some of us have been putting him to rest for a while.
Gretch isn't putting him to rest. He's at 41.4% catch rate, 40 racer this year, which is air yards to receiving yards ratio, and his 15.2 ADOT indicates role has changed from last year, but air yards have been solid for 4 or 5 weeks. So I don't know.
So the issue then is that Sam can't throw a downfield ball is basically what we're saying.
Teddy's, I feel comfortable saying Teddy's better than Darnold, I think.
Didn't we have a little bit of a squeaky wheel with
2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it happened 2 weeks ago, and DJ Moore had 35.
Yeah, so the thing is, they are supposedly, or it would look like they're trying to get him more involved. Like the targets have been there. But when you catch 5 of 11 targets, 2 of 7, again, it sounds like a lot of those weren't catchable. But it's just like it could hit, and it probably will since we've Dan panned him, but
some of the comments. Avon says, "No way, McLaurin going to be chalk." LOL. Liam Murphy says, "You guys aren't afraid of that Texans D." That's a good point, Davis.
I'll bet. I'll make bets with people on McLaurin being chalk. Give me.
Yeah, he'll be.
Yeah. What do you want to? So
you would have to define chalk.
What, over 15% in single entry and 3 max?
Yeah.
Yeah, easy over there.
Gotta be over 15. Because Heineke himself will be like 8, and like 95% of Heineke teams will be McLaurin RSJ.
Okay, we mentioned Cortland Sutton as well.
He's the air yards king. Guy is the absolute. What's that metric that Hermsmeyer shills? Whopper.
Bitcoin.
Dude, I tough scene. Haven't seen Hermsmeyer tweet about Bitcoin all week. I wonder why.
That was a softball.
Stop being a charlatan.
Here, let me go. I'll go look at Whopper right now. If I had to guess, I bet Cortland Sutton is like third in the NFL in Whopper.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about the Raiders either. Like what's gonna happen with them this week? Davis, do you buy the narrative that they might be a little bit distracted by this week's events?
I mean, it's hard for me to imagine that John Gruden is like that good of a coach anyway. So like, I don't really see it being much of anything. I guess if I wanted to recommend a sneaky play on the Raiders, it would be Jacobs, who has actually been playing a ton. And Kenyon Drake played a lot the first 2 weeks for whatever reason. And then I guess after watching Peyton Barber go for 27 touches and 140 yards and a touchdown, they were like, we just need more of that. And so I think it's that Jacobs has had like 88% of the running back touches the last 2 weeks. He's got 8 targets and scored a touchdown in each of the games. So feels like Jacobs, it would be the way if you wanted to get sneaky there.
They were like trying to manufacture him touches in the receiving game too, which is, as somebody who needed Henry Ruggs last week, was not fun to watch.
That was rough.
It was brutal.
Why do they hate Henry Ruggs? Like why can't
they don't know how to use him? He just runs a go route every single freaking snap. It's so annoying.
He's 5.5K on FanDuel this week, and that's exactly where we're headed. FanDuel to make a lineup.
You're having a great show, Dave. I don't know
you
if
are
I
good
told
transitions
you
and everything.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's start with you, Peter, in this FanDuel lineup. FanDuel.com.
Yeah, I do think Rondell Moore is a nice pick over here as well at 5,700, but we already did that, and let's spread our wings here. Let's try to do something different. I will go ahead and, man, all the plays I want to do, we've already played on the other site. All right, I played Hunt on DraftKings, where there is full point PPR. There is famously only half point PPR on
Just
FanDuel.
Make a pick, Peter.
He's trying to.
I'm trying to build drama, Kitchen. I'm giving the people free content. You're trying to get us out of here. Our sponsor MGM wants this.
It's BetMGM. Yes, promo code GRINDERSBET will give us.
All right, Nick Chubb.
People just want the football takes. If you read the comments last week, you understand. They don't.
Dave, did you really read the comments last week?
Of course I did. I read the comments every week.
Dude, I got one Twitter notification about the show, and I like mentally was like, absolutely not paying attention to any of this. Like that's all going on my mental mute list. Like, why would you do that to yourself, bro?
For me, it's to become a better host. And to be
Dave, but you know
to give
every
the people
week
what they want.
But you know that everyone hates the Titans and the Mooncats. Like you can't possibly think when we do these shows that people like you can't think that the hear ye Titans bit was good. Like who wanted that?
A lot of people. What people did not.
We are like actively telling you it's terrible.
No, Davis, there have been lots of shows where I have taken off. And listen, I didn't want to get into like negative name calling and pointing fingers, but the show that you were not on was the one that got the most positive comments. And I don't think that's a coincidence at all.
I mean, no, they probably did a good job. I don't know. The Sammy's very good. They did
do a good job. And if you took your job seriously, you would understand that, but you don't. You don't care. You don't care what the people think. Like not reading the comment section.
I would never do that. I never read the comments to anything I do.
I don't. That
is this a performance review that just
you don't want to get. That
you don't want to get better. It only took us 55 minutes to get to this point, so this is good. We have improved.
We did. Yeah, I mean, we could have got to the Giggle Gang a little bit earlier. I'm legitimately shocked Dave is this shook by the comments. Like he must have spent some time like reading them.
I said this on Twitter. Like there were a ton of, might be the most comments we've ever gotten on a show outside of the truly blitz shows. And people were serious. They want serious football takes. They want Tuttle to talk more, and they want less of Davis. Like that's.
But we all know that's true. We all know people tune into the show for picks. That's why.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Davis here. Is that you were just not very cognizant of this somehow, David.
Like people want picks, dude. That's why they would listen
Just
to
weren't
us.
Self-aware.
It was a wake up call, Peter. I mean, what was your thought after seeing the reviews from last week?
I can't tell if you're trolling or not, Dave, and this is why I asked you if you actually watched the show, because we told people to leave those comments.
Well, you said to show Socrdave that you're doing a good job.
Kitchen, I read all the comments, and like 80% of them
were
playing
exactly
off
what
the
we said to
bit
say.
of telling them to write that.
No, it literally, people said it was the best show they have ever
We
seen.
told them to write that, Kitchen.
So Dave actually didn't watch the show.
That
He
was
said
why
he
I
was
asked.
watching.
Yeah, no, that
You definitely didn't.
Didn't it raise a red flag
I
when
was
half of them were?
I was commenting on like as the show was going on, and I even left a comment on the Swolecast show last week.
80% of the comments were, "I can't tell what was different this week." Like,
Yeah,
you
it
really
was
think
Davis
people
not
couldn't
being
tell what
on.
was different?
It was Davis not being on.
I'm just now realizing that Dave, this was all just a bit for him to
It
try and
was a
get
bit.
me tilted.
Yeah,
We're
Davis,
back,
please.
baby.
I would just
We're
say,
back.
Davis, like take your job a little more seriously. Like you're like this is not like a free show. Like we have to pay for you to be on this show. So maybe take your job a little more seriously and like
Dan,
care about what the people want.
Do you remember, I think 3 years ago when we were setting up doing this show for the year, Dave was trying to get me to do the show for free because he said that
you were plugging your site.
He said that my Daily Roto backdrop was that it was an advertisement for Daily Roto because of my backdrop.
How do you not get this? This is business 101.
I do remember that. My favorite though was when Evan Silva called me up before week 1. It was like he's like, "Man, you got to ask for more money for the show, man." He was like, "What should I ask for? Like $2K a show, $2K an episode, or something like that."
This was
like,
the same year that
a little
Silva
higher
did.
than I think I would ask.
Silva did like 8 other shows, so like I had to tell him, like, listen, the behind the paywall Swolecast is good, Silva, with you on the show, but when you're doing Fantasy Shane's show as well for free on the Fireball Fantasy show, then it's just the scarcity. It wasn't rare, basically, that year.
If Silva's getting 2K, I think I need to go have a negotiation.
You need to renegotiate your rates.
Silva did not get 2K.
He was trying to get me to go up to that price point so that he had more bargaining power. I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna ask for 2K a show.
All right, it's 3:30, and I wish I could lie and say I had a work meeting. I don't have anywhere to be, but can we speed this up?
Yeah, can we
We're
can
on
we
such
finish
a
this
good
FanDuel team?
Pete and I have to go. We have to go mint some more Dusty shit. So we need to get off air.
I did see,
get the
I
lazy
did see
lion.
Davis. I did see Davis earlier, like agree with Eric that, oh yeah, everything is just so dusty now with everything's a profile pic after he has tried to spend his past 3 weeks as an influencer pumping his bags and realizing that
Eric's
that
point.
way.
Eric, I am fascinated by NFTs, but Eric's point is totally legit. Which
I said the same thing a couple weeks ago, but it was in the comments section, so that's why you didn't read it. All right, Peter, you said Chubb. Tuttle, you're next.
And I don't even like that pick. I kind of panicked, honestly.
Yeah.
Do you want to redo it?
Yeah, I want to redo it.
Please.
We didn't do Mixon in the other lineup. Let's do Mixon.
Pretty sneaky with Pirine on the COVID list. Actually, I actually think that Pirine could be like the best GPP running back play.
Mixon.
You said P. Ryan Davis, but I'm sure you meant Mixon.
Yeah.
But P. Ryan might be at. Again, we're recording this on Wednesday. Possible
Right.
he's
It's
active.
a first look.
It's first look show,
no
and
one's
someone
really
said
it's a first
someone
look show.
actually said in the comments said it was the best first look show they have ever seen last week. So
better than Pete's Monday first look show.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan Taylor in this lineup.
Oh wow. Whoa. All right. Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon. This is an alpha lineup. This is a GAM squad. All right. Davis?
Let's go. I actually think Jamar Chase will be super not chalky on FanDuel. I think on DK, he's going to cop some ownership, but people are going to look at Jamar Chase as more expensive than DeAndre Hopkins and give him a big ol' not wave.
We can't do Mixon and Chase.
Oh, you're right.
And
you're right.
Chase.
Yeah,
in
you're
this
right.
economy.
Nah, can't do it in this economy. So let's go. Let's go CD. CD at 7,000. I don't think either Cowboys wide receiver will be particularly popular this week.
All right, I'm I want to jam in Adams because I feel like you have to play him on FanDuel because you can play pretty much whoever you want.
Play wherever you want.
I'm actually going to go somewhere different. I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins. He's only 7.7K.
Yeah, now that the Alpha Max Williams is hurt, we finally can get some more targets for DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
I like D Hop. I feel like people that did not play him or roster him last week did not have to endure going 90% of the game with like only 5 fantasy points. He sucked out big time on like one of the last drives. I think he's a good play. I think he's too cheap on FanDuel, but everybody seems to be touting him as like some sneaky role change when in reality it didn't really happen.
Yeah, a lot of sharp minds are. Let's go, Peter. You're next.
Yeah, let's both DraftKings and FanDuel. We're gonna play Mark Andrews.
You'll love to see it.
Okay, we still haven't picked a quarterback yet, Tuttle.
Wow, are you trying to lead me into taking Lamar Jackson? I will oblige, I guess.
Yeah.
Ooh.
8,200 Lamar Jackson on FanDuel.com coming off the best game of his career. Pretty nice.
All right. Wide receiver and a flex, Davis.
So we need a cheaper wide receiver. I just want to look for my own edification. Bateman 5,000, probably a bad play on FanDuel, but do we eat the chalk with $5,800 Pittman, or do we play $6,000 Kadarius Toney?
I say Toney.
Let's do Toney.
All right, there we go.
Toney plugging Denver Broncos defense. You got 5,900 left, Kitchen, unless you want to go cheaper at D.
What can Kitchen do with 5,900?
Go Javonte Williams if you wanted to.
There's the Devontae Booker range too.
Yeah, Devontae Booker. Let's go Booker. You know, being FanDuel, it's a half-point PPR site, so you're more likely to play running backs in that flex spot. So yeah, let's go Booker. Man, that's a good lineup. That's a really good lineup.
I don't love the two Giants, but not gonna worry about it here.
Yeah. Also, this is recorded on Wednesday, so if we get any updated injury news with the Giants, sure put there. Okay, Peter, thoughts on this?
I think it's a great lineup. I'd play it in a lot of different formats. Personally, I'm playing it in the 30K Sunday NFL Squib single entry, so please don't dupe me in that.
Okay. All right, and then we talked about Mark Andrews as tight end. Travis Kelce also. Davis, you mentioned Evan Ingram. Let's get those Ricky Seals Jones hot takes out now.
It's like I'm gonna rank him like tight end 5 this week when I do my rankings. So it seems like he's probably a pretty good play for 3,000 on DraftKings.
Okay.
He's missed a snap, 1 snap since Logan Thomas got hurt. 1 snap.
All right. Any other cheap tight ends you like, Peter?
The only other guy I'm seeing, well, I guess 2 guys down there. I think you could toss Jared Cook in. I think we like that game, 3,200, and also Johnny Smith at 3,000 looks decent to me.
Okay.
Dude, he ran 6 routes last week.
I don't know, man. It's hard to find tight end production
you
in
went,
this economy.
You went Jared Cook over Parham?
Sure.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and toss out Hunter Henry also as an option just because they might be playing from behind. And he did get 8 targets last week. Could just continue to see heavy volume when nobody else is doing anything in that offense. So
hey, Kitchen, this is a good time to give Jonnu Smith his eulogy if you want.
Poor Jonnu, man. At least he got paid.
He ran 6 routes last week.
Yeah.
That was the thing that stood out to me the most.
If you told me before the season that he was be 3K, like I would be like auto start. But
Tuttle, did you see that they were lining him up as a fullback? So on a couple, I think this was Hayden Winks tweeted this, but I can't remember. But he had like a couple screen grabs of like Jonnu down in like the 3-point stance, like knuckles in the dirt, like straight up, like the guy, like he's Patrick Ricard. Like I was dying, dude.
Poor Jonnu. He almost got that end around to salvage at the end of the game too, that where he could have scored a touchdown. But that stuck out like bigly to me. 6 routes is
some people speculated that he might be like the 3rd down back if all these guys keep dusting off.
That would be funny.
Know.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Good. All right. Final thoughts, Davis, on today's show.
Just like find one of these games to have conviction in that is not Kansas City, Washington, and the Chargers Ravens game, because I really do think that those are going to be just like some absurdly chalky spots, and maybe I'll be wrong and maybe the cards will flip over on Sunday and they won't be, but I'm trying to talk myself into literally any of these other spots, because just nothing worse than having like a 180% cumulatively owned single entry team.
Tuttle, remind me who your terrible take was again.
Rondale Moore.
That's right.
And I do want to reiterate with the DraftKings lineup construction thing, because people are so opposed to taking or playing 2 tight ends. Do want to reiterate, completely fine this week when you compare the 3K RSJ to what sort of value there is at wide receiver for the same price, just not comparable. And we didn't talk about Darren Waller, who his price tag has also dropped significantly on DraftKings. Obviously not a great matchup. Waller did not practice. What was the injury? Do you know?
Said his back, but I mean, he's 29. It could just be veteran rest.
Just maintenance.
He's fine. But even like a Kelsey Waller lineup for 13-6 combined, I like that a lot for tournaments.
Okay, Peter.
Yeah, I thought this show today felt kind of like a transition show for the show. Yeah. I feel like we hit rock bottom a couple weeks ago. We maybe course corrected a little too much last week. And now we are going to kind of find the sweet spot, because even though the outpouring of support for last week's show it's humbling and it's great to see, we know that both you, Socrdave, and Davis are a huge part of this show. And we need to figure out how to proceed with the 4 of us succeeding. And I think today was a great step forward to accomplish that goal.
Yeah. And I would just go ahead and end it on saying, I appreciate all the support that I did get after saying that I was going to take it more seriously, that I was just going to kind of get back to who I was, the fabric of the start of the Swolecast, the heavy football analysis, the sharp Socrdave takes. Like I want to get back to that. And so I took that criticism, and instead of like just ignoring it like some people might do, I chose to embrace it. And I hope that was reflected on today's show.
They're telling you that you literally wasted your time, that it was fake criticism.
Guys, we were building to a really nice crescendo there.
Yeah, Davis, please. So if you your thoughts on the show, leave in the comments section and give us a thumbs up. Promo code GRINDERSBET on BetMGM, and we'll see you next week, week 7 here on the Swolecast and rotogrinders.com. Peace.